Hello, friends, and welcome to Season 8 of the Future Ready Librarians podcast series, Leading from the Library. This is a podcast for all librarians wherever you are in your journey. It is filled with amazing guests, important topics, and engaging conversations that will inspire, engage, and support all of us as future ready librarians. I am your host, Shannon McClintock Miller. I am the district teacher librarian at Van Meter Community School in Van Meter, Iowa, and I serve as the Future Ready Librarians leader. I have the pleasure of working within my library and school community and also with others around the country and world through Future Ready Librarian events, conferences, consulting, writing, and more. I am honored to bring these voices and the work of others to our podcast and to all of you. You guys are in for a real treat today as our guest is going to talk about how she transitioned from a public to a school librarian. And so I can't wait just for this conversation and for all of you to get to know our special guest. And Sarina, let's just start by having you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background and now where you're at.
Hi, my name is Sarina LaTorre-Sicurella. I've been a librarian for just about 15 years. I started in public. I loved it there. I met my husband at the library. He's a librarian too. And I was just very happy there. And then one day, another librarian who's also a school librarian, she kind of pulled me aside and she's like, this would be great in a school. And so it kind of like that seed was planted, and didn't really think about it until we were in lockdown for that little thing that happened in 2020. I don't know if you heard about it. And it was this big time of transition. And that's when I decided to pursue the certification to get it. Because in New York State, the school media is one of the few certifications you could get without having to get a whole nother master's degree. So I just went back because everybody's like, you could always go back. So I did it, and it just kind of fell into place where I actually got a position in my home district. And it was at my daughter's school.
Oh, that's perfect.
So there's something kind of poetic about it. I started my program when she was in kindergarten. I was like, we're going to school together. And then when she was last year in second grade, as she left that building, she saw me come in as a substitute for a little bit.
Oh, that's great. So you're in a building with kindergarten to second grade, is that right?
I'm in a K-2 building.
Yeah, well, that's perfect. That's a nice place to start out too when you're first starting your library career, right? Well, I think one thing that really interests me too when I was just reading about your background is, just like going from a public library and coming into a school, there has to be a lot of similarities, but also I'm sure there's a lot of differences too. And so just tell us a little bit about your job as like a public librarian and how that fit into now what you're doing in the school library.
So public library, it's you're serving the community, and libraries are all about lifelong learning. And for the longest time, it's just meant books. But when I became a librarian, it was at this interesting time of flux, of change with technology, the maker movement and stuff. So a lot of those ideas I got to explore. And I had really wonderful supervisors at the public librarian who were just like, any crazy idea, they're like, let's go, let's do it. So I learned a lot about what works, what doesn't work. And so just, it's nice to be able to bring those things because I think I see things a little differently.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like, for example, we had our big eclipse event today. And that was an idea I brought to them because I remember in 2017 when we experienced a little bit of eclipse, we did a big event at the library and it was such a big hit. So I was like, we should do this at the school. And everybody was kind of like, oh, okay. And it was great. It was so successful.
That's
So
really cool. Well, and I'm sure too that I think that the neat thing about like public libraries is that big piece of programming. And in a school library, like do you still have fixed times in your position?
in my building, it's fixed. And I think another part of the reason why I wanted to do the transition is like from COVID, it was like less and less people. And I can't tell you how many times we would plan these big things and get so excited. And then the reception was like a little lackluster, or people are like, oh, I didn't know about it. And so it's nice to be in a fixed
Yeah.
spot because I get to see in real time how these things take off. And that's just been a wonderful experience.
Yeah, that's one thing that I love about, being in a school is that you get to take some of those big ideas and make sure that like all the kids, get to experience those things like the eclipse today, like things that we really want all of them to be able to, take part in. And to me, that's one of the things I always think it'd be really fun to be a public librarian, but I would miss that part of being in a school.
Yeah, there's definitely there's interesting differences. Like when you get an idea, it's like, okay, let's get those supplies real quick, and then we'll plan for that in like 2 months from now. And then school is like, you got to do this next week, and it's going to take 2 months to get whatever you need. And I'm like, oh my God, like I didn't realize, it's a little flip flopped. So that's been interesting.
Yeah, that part is fun, like and the even lesson planning and collaboration and there's always something, that you can be working on. And so when I think about that because now this is your first year, right? In a school library. And so how is that going? Like things like collaboration or planning lessons or collection development, like what have you been focusing on this year too?
So I had a really great collaborative team when I was in the public library. I would sign my emails with Dreamwork makes teamwork, and or no, teamwork makes the dream work. Sorry, I first it. So I was always looking to collaborate on things. I always had a document going like with crazy ideas. I was always trying to include everybody. And this year, since I'm a team of one, but I have a lot of wonderful special area teachers that I work with, and just looking for those moments and opportunities to collaborate. Like for the Eclipse event, we have a STEAM teacher, so that was done with her. And a little earlier in the year, we had a big PARP event, so I collaborated with the PTA. They are doing a field trip to the post office, and I was like, can the library be involved? Like, let's write letters to the author. Like, I'm always looking for these opportunities of where the library can fit in. And I think that's something that I got from public libraries is they're always looking for how can we fill this niche.
Yeah.
Like they were handing out eclipse classes.
I love that though, because that's what I think makes such amazing, school librarians is when we find those little opportunities. And I get sometimes a little bit jealous when I see everything that the public libraries do because it can be something, that we always dream up. And just like you said, that collaboration is so much fun. And I'm the only librarian too in my school district. And so I'm always looking for ways to collaborate with our teachers or people from the community. And I think that makes it feel just so much, just kind of come full circle into what we do.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. And how about like when you think about too, coming from the public space, like collection development? I mean, that's one thing that has come to my mind so many times the last few years, I know, and how we work with our public librarian, but things, as we know, have been, somewhat challenging or different or things in our school library. So
Yeah, I'm definitely very careful with what I'm ordering. But I'm also trying to create a more diverse collection that's more reflective of the community and a lot of the kids that are in it. So I've been working on that. And but I'm not gonna, I know what titles to order and what to avoid, even though it's something that I personally would love. I'm like, I think about the students and who's reading it. And I think being in a K2 building, you're kind of like, I'm not going to be getting very controversial titles or anything like that. Um, but also, as far as collection development, there's one thing that the public libraries are doing is they have it's called the Library of Things, where they'll circulate a lot of different objects. Like one library circulates cake pans. Um, my husband's library, we just borrowed the parachute that they loan out, bubble machines, like all these weird random objects that people would actually want to borrow. Oh, there's my cat. And so I thought that would be fun to have in a school, like have a class set of Ozobots that classroom teachers can check out and do a lesson with their students. I'm really trying to get a breakout EDU kit for teachers. I got a ring light because our school does a lot of like videos of different things. They do a big March Madness stuff. We did our mass reader, so I thought a ring light and a tripod would be perfect. All these different kinds of things that I think would create unique and engaging learning opportunities.
Yeah, I love that too when I see it like on Instagram or something, what public librarians do. And that is just always makes me smile because I think of all the things that we could check out. So I love it that you're taking though the spin on it of checking out like the technology or little things. Like, I mean, so many people always ask me for cords, or today it was a microphone, or
Mhm.
and so just putting that little title on it, that's a good thing to bring from the public library. So if
Yeah.
people were listening and say that they were in either one, if they were in a public library and wanted to go to a school, what advice do you have for people who are thinking about that?
I would say think about what you want out of your professional career. Like came to a spot where I feel like I wasn't challenged enough. Like I loved my job. I loved the people that I worked with. I loved what I was doing, but I felt like there's more that I could do. And in this first year, I feel like I'm like truly living up to my potential. Like all of these crazy ideas, I'm following
I
my
love, yes.
interest in my heart. We're big Bluey fans here. There's a character who wants a duck cake because she said it makes my tail wag. So I think I'm following all the things that make my tail wag.
Yes, that's great. Well, I can just picture you in your school library, and those kids are so lucky to be able to have you. And the great thing about a public library too, I think about like someday, down the road retirement, and like you can always go back to and volunteer or be in a public library. And so that's really cool that you get to have those opportunities.
Yeah, it's definitely the public library is definitely more relaxed, and it's more of a calm vibe. And you come in when we're just gonna sit and look through some of these new books that we got. And then school is definitely harder.
Oh yeah.
It's so much
Lots of
harder.
things, lots of things to think about. And like things like being evaluated and meetings and professional development and all
Yeah,
of those things that we do.
all the teacher stuff that I hadn't have to think about for the first 15 years of my career. And now I'm like, oh my God, observations and
All
behavior
the,
management.
yes, all the fun things that we do, but it is so worth it. And I'm sure that you are gonna continue to do cool things and you're at your daughter's school. And so how perfect is that too? I was at my kid's school and best thing I ever did was I was take that job because it was really fun to be with them too.
And one thing that was really interesting about it too is originally it was a sub position because the outgoing librarian knew she was retiring, but she needed to take off before she retired. So it was like an audition kind of. So I was like, do I take this gamble and do I do it? And I'm so glad that I did, because when that librarian eventually came back, I not only got to know her, um, and she was like really sweet. She texted me today. So I not only did I get to know her and kind of where she was coming from and her spot there, but I got to sub in the building. And I kind of got that teacher experience that I didn't have. I kind of saw what they do and just figure out where they're coming from so that I could understand them a little bit better. Like, I'm not going to be upset if you're late coming to the library because you had to line everybody up and then somebody got stuck in the bathroom. And now I've been in that position, so it's cool. I get
Yeah.
it.
You're like, hi. That's so true, though. We just have to I always say that I feel like I'm a cruise director, like Julie on the Love Boat, because you're always trying to like manage everything in the best way that you can. And so I think that that is just one of the fun parts of being in a school as a librarian too. Definitely. Well, I can't wait to see what you continue to do. And is there a place that you want people to, if they want to find the great work that you're doing, if you want to direct them to, where would they find you and the work that you're doing there?
Okay, so I used to blog under Nerdcraft Librarian. It's kind of been dormant, but I think like a Phoenix Nerdcraft Librarian is coming back, and I'm on Instagram and Facebook, and I'm gonna start posting more stuff now. I'm feeling more confident in what I've been doing at school to kind of share.
Good. I know. I want to see too. And I love your name too, the Nerdcraft Librarian. I can't wait to see what you post. So you're doing amazing things, my friend, and I am happy that you came over to the school library part and just keep sharing and doing great things. And we'll have to catch up with you in a couple years and see all the amazing things you're doing. See if you're still in a kindergarten to second grade building.
We'll see. We'll
I
see.
love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining us and for just inspiring those listening, because I know that we have listeners that come from both and think about, making that change. And so it's been really fun to have you on the podcast.
All right. Thank you for having me. It's been awesome. Thank you.
As always, thank you to all of our listeners for joining us for this episode of the Future Ready Librarian podcast series, Leading from the Library. And a very special thank you to our sponsors, Follett. You make a difference in our libraries, schools, and within our lives and that of our students every day. We appreciate everything you do. I hope you can take what you learned in today's podcast and put it to use within your practice as a future ready librarian. If I can support you in any way, please feel free to reach out to me on X or Instagram at Shannon M. Miller, or to my email at shannonmcclintockmiller@gmail.com. I am always happy to help. Until next time, friends, keep finding ways to lead within and from your library.